Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to Future Proof, the podcast where we're decoding how leaders, execs, and CEOs are decoding how to use AI, automations, and data to change the world. If you want to future-proof your business, you're in the right place. I am ecstatic to have my good friend Anuj Gupta from Gradient Advisors talk to us today about AI use cases. And so we're going to jump right in, guys, and start talking about that. So Anuj, thank you for going through this and walking us through how people should think about the use cases for AI.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brent, for having me here. And I'm super excited and looking forward to this.
Yeah, and this could be the first of many that Anuj and I are going to do a series for basically playbooks, use cases for founders, CEOs, and execs. And so let's jump right into this. So from a business point of view, what's the biggest opportunities and issues that AI give us today, right? Again, let's start high level, right? Let's start 30,000 foot view, and then we'll dive deep as we go in.
So I think a lot of people would have heard this. The one-line answer to this is AI is not just another technology. It's a tectonic shift. Now, let me explain what does that mean. So we all know that cloud happened. Now, what did cloud give us? Cloud gave us the flexibility and ease of doing work in the sense that we could now save files on cloud and I can access them from anywhere.
Agreed.
As opposed to keeping stuff only on the local or in a
data center.
Yeah. Now
on-prem, right? Yeah.
Yes. Similarly, we had mobile. So when mobile happened, we got accessibility again anywhere in any corner of the world. You could access stuff. But this is not a fundamental shift in what computers can do. And that's the difference between a technology and tectonic shift. With AI, you have a whole new class of problems that machines could never solve earlier, but they can solve now.
Absolutely. And if they can't solve it now, they're on the path to very soon solving it, right? As we evolve.
Yes.
And that should change the mindset of every C-suite or department leader in a company.
Absolutely. And that's the opportunity, right? So think of trying to distinguish between an image of a cat versus image of a dog, the most famous example, right? In the traditional world, you cannot write any software that will solve this problem. When I say traditional world, the pre-AI, so look at the software system and the IT system as we have known.
Right.
Okay. Now, this problem is so easily solvable. You can write a 2-line code and just finish it up.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
So this is just one example. Now, there are thousands and thousands of such problems: identifying human voice, creating human voice, summarizing documents, understanding images, generating videos, blah, 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 all that we have seen in last 2 years. It's just a glimpse of it. So that creates a massive business opportunity.
Massive. And I think that's what everyone's missing, right? What you just said.
Yes. And which is why everybody is so very excited at the highest level. So this is not a technology shift. This is giving us an ability of completely a new class of problems, and the possibilities are absolutely endless. So that's the big shift that we are going through as we talk right now.
Yeah. And so for everybody listening to this, make sure that you take hold of that. This is not, hey, we need IT to build something for us. This is an absolute fundamental shift in the way business is done, the way business operates, in the way that you need to figure out how to quickly integrate and identify the right use cases. So let's keep it at the 30,000 foot view here, Anuj, though. What's the one thing that you think that businesses are getting wrong today?
Okay, great question. So All the software that we have used till date, Brent, that is known as deterministic software. Okay. Now there's a
Deterministic.
term
Yep.
a lot of people might have heard, but what does that basically mean is that once you fix the input to a machine, the output is also fixed. So if I say 4 plus 6, the answer will always be 10. Whether I run it once, whether I run it 10 times, whether I run it 100 times, whether I run it in the morning or evening, whether I run it in summers or winters, it's not going to change.
Agreed. Yep.
AI is not deterministic software. AI is probabilistic in nature, which means when I give 4 plus 6, you can get an answer which is 11, you can get an answer which is 20, you can get an answer which is 10. Okay? And
Yep.
this is basically, think of like a randomization. So when will you get right? You have no ideas of that. Now, why is this important? All the software, like I said, we have used till date is deterministic. So if we get a wrong answer, it's called a bug. And the bug is there because somebody did not do their job well. Either the person who was collecting the requirements, the person who was designing the system, the person who implemented, the person who tested, the person who integrated, the person who deployed. Somebody in the human chain that developed software did not do their job correctly and knowingly or unknowingly introduced this bug. And none of us like encountering bugs. None of us like delivering bugs.
Yep.
Now, once you have probabilistic software, it will make mistakes. And that is not because somebody did not do their job well. Even if everybody does their job perfectly well,
Right.
even if it's one of the greatest teams on earth, AI software will make a mistake once in a while. Now, you asked what's the biggest mistake the world is making. A lot of us come from IT slash software background, like I said, and we have built
Right.
deterministic software.
Yep.
So when we are dealing with the AI software and when we see a mistake, we say, "Oh, this is imperfect," which is correct. But that does not mean it is useless. And that's the most interesting aspect. It's an imperfect technology, and the process of perfecting is going on and on and on, right? And it will continue
So
for next.
it's kind of continuously learning and improving on its own.
I won't necessarily say that people are developing better and better algorithm until we
Yeah.
get to the point of what is called as AGI.
Yep.
This process will continue. However, you cannot say as a leader, I will wait until this is perfect. So even with the imperfect technology, the potential is massive. And that is
Absolutely.
a, a subtle point that a lot of CXOs tend to miss.
Got it. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Given that high level of overview, right, and some of the points you mentioned, where do we go next? What's the next? Do we deep dive into use cases, or like I'm trying to put myself in a founder or CEO's shoes. What do you think?
So, see, there are a couple of things. One, we all have to understand that if today, as an organization, you're not doing AI, the market is going to punish you. If you are in public markets, there are already a whole list of scenarios where companies have been battered left, right, and center. I think the most recent one is Samsung, right?
Yeah.
We just last week saw Nvidia's share go down drastically because Huawei has come up with their own AI chip.
Yep.
That one thing has changed a lot suddenly in the market.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing when you have competition.
absolutely right, and this is why the madness is relative. In private markets, if you're not doing AI, you will not be able to raise funds. So the point I'm trying to make is to not do AI is not an option.
Yep.
Because of which a lot of companies have absolutely rushing towards it and doing AI. However, there's a problem out there, right? And what is the problem? If I were to put mildly, this is the problem.
Wow. So 86% of the models never get to production, right? And then 8 out of 10, right, don't get the ROI out of it. So I guess I'm always a glass half full, so I want to know what the 2 out of 10 are doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me where, where based on all that stuff you mentioned, like where is the mistake? You're already bringing it up. This is fantastic.
So the problem, if you think carefully, if you look at all the narrative, right? What are 2 out of 10 companies? Let's think, right? Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla's, right? OpenAIs of the world, Anthropics of the world, all of these. Now, if you see, either these companies have been doing AI for the longest time. Right? Google has been doing for almost 20 plus years, Amazon
Yeah.
20 plus years. Tesla
Right.
is AI first company from day one.
Yeah.
Or the new one have the person who is leading the organization have done AI for many, many years. Now, if you look at the rest 8 out of 10, in the market there seems to be a narrative, and which is what I've tried to depict with this picture, that if you have the model, if you have access to the best AI model in the world, you can skip a lot of things and you can get to the price.
Yeah.
That's not the case. So you asked me what 2 out of 10 are doing right. They are doing the things on the right side correct.
They're picking the right use case and then walking through the strategy, process,
They
talent,
have a
data.
right strategy in place. They have right processes in place. They have right talent in place. They have built extremely large data systems that are continuously pumping in more and more data and a lot of other such ingredients.
Yeah.
So the key thing to be remembered is if 2 out of 10 understand that AI is not IT. And this is something I think Gartner also has been saying for quite some time. As a matter of fact, this particular image I took from one of the keynotes of Gartner. Because it is not an IT initiative, it is not just the responsibility of CTO and CIO. And it's a company wide leadership initiative. So that's one part.
Right.
2, these organizations have what I call as AI maturity. Okay. AI maturity requires a long list of 30 odd elements across, I would say, 4 pillars: technology, people, processes, and economics.
Yep.
And it's at the intersection of this that the magic lies. Now, coming to the next point you asked, right? One of them, like we said in the previous one, and I think today it might be relevant to only discuss that, is picking up the right use cases.
I totally agree with you. Can we take a deep dive on one of the use cases? Where do you think how do we best tell everybody watching about how, like, what that looks like?
Yeah, that's a great point. So see, what is happening, Brent, is because this is such a new technology, right? A lot of companies are essentially working with the same set of consultants, I would say. And these consultants have come up with a list of use cases, and they are selling the same set of use cases across all.
The consultants are predisposing the direction without even realizing they are, right? They're saying, hey, these are the use cases you need to do. That doesn't seem like it's the right approach.
So these are right use cases. I'm not debating. The point is, are these the most important ones? And that's a fundamental question to be asked. So everybody says, hey, customer support, let's automate. Now, that's a great use case. Everybody should do it. In the process, everybody will save something, and this will help to improve the bottom line. Question is of prioritization. As my organization, depending on what business am I in, what vertical I operate in, what are my strengths and my weaknesses, how is that the same use case is working for everyone? So the question to be asked is, for my product, for my organization, for my business, what is the most important use case? Now, today, unfortunately, what is happening is CXOs expect this answer to come from consultants or whosoever is driving the AI initiative. And they give a standard list. And most companies are implementing this standard list in the name of low hanging fruit. But this is not where the true power of AI gets unlocked. And let me give you a very concrete example. This is one of my favorite ones when back in the day I was getting introduced to AI. So this is, I think, in June of 2015. So all of us have used Spotify.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Spotify is an app where you can listen to music globally, any
Right.
genre, any artist, any region, it is available.
Right.
If you think from Spotify's point of view, one of a very good AI use case is recommendation system.
Absolutely.
Let me recommend you based on your taste. Let me recommend you the music that you like, more of what you like.
Yep.
Spotify did not take this approach. Spotify said that, hey, when do people listen us the most? What is that people expect from us? And the answer, when they dug deep into their data, they found is that Monday morning, when people wake up and are about to start their work week,
Yep.
they look for a new energy altogether. They look for a new motivation altogether.
Okay.
Why don't we suggest you the music that will help you get into the work mode in the best possible way? And to solve this problem, they introduced a feature called Discover Week.
Okay. I'm following
You
you.
might remember every Monday morning there is a playlist available for every user in Spotify called Discover Week.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
And invariably, most people would click on that and most people will absolutely love it. This is not just motivational music. That's not the case.
Right.
Your taste could be very different from my taste.
Right.
Our taste could be very different from a third person. But for each of us, it understood what will really energize us. So they caught hold of this Monday morning moment in the user journey and made it exceptional.
And very personalized, right? Yeah.
Yes. So this was one of the earliest examples of highly personalized machine learning at the scale of internet. But the most important thing, Brent, of course, in solving that problem, they came up
Yeah.
with a bunch of algorithms. They had to collect a lot of data. They had to do a lot of tests and stuff like that. I'm not debating that. But the journey started by somebody thinking from first principles. Where can we really make a difference?
Got it. That makes a
And I
lot
will
of sense.
I will give you some numbers if I remember correctly. I think 2020 they had done a blog which celebrated the 5 years of this feature.
Right.
And I think if I remember something like that, within 10 weeks of that feature, 1 billion tracks got played. I think within 1 year of launch of that feature, some 10 billion tracks got played. I think the number of hours went up by 2.5 hours or something like that. I don't remember the numbers precisely. I could be little here and there. But two things happened, right? One, people were absolutely amazed how every Monday morning Spotify knows what I want to listen.
Well, and if I think about that, Anuj, if I'm right about this, again, I'll have to go back and validate these numbers, but I remember back then it was a big contest, right? Apple Music, right, was not right where it is today, but it was Spotify versus Pandora. And I believe that feature propelled them to 10 to, they're like between 10 and 15 to 1 over Pandora now because of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all over the world, it became a talking point. So, in the world of recommendation engine, there is a word called serendipity. So, when I suggest you something that you don't even know that you want, but when I show you, you, you would love it. So it's called serendipity.
Yes.
It got closest to serendipity in the world of recommendation system at that point of time.
Amazing. So as we start, as if you're sitting here and you're a leader, a visionary, a founder, a CEO, an entrepreneur of any, like, how should teams go about identifying use cases like this? Because that's not what, like, if you think about it back then, that is not something that blatantly obvious, right? And I go to similar things like, when Amazon came out with the idea of Prime, right? It was not a popular thing. If you always go on the internet and read how that all came about, you'll realize that it was not a popular thing. I would imagine inside Spotify, right? That might not have been, maybe not everybody was on board with that, but that was the right use case to move the needle to grow their company base by growing their subscribers. How should companies think about how to identify these use cases that can move the needle for their business in a really high impactful way? It might not be to that degree, but obviously this needs to be the first thing they do and think about. And again, it's why it's your first one right there at the bottom right.
So see two things. One, if you don't do, then you have to realize that the same set of consultants are selling the same set of use cases to you, which means you will do the same thing that others are doing. Where is the differentiate?
Right.
Now to survive, that might be good enough. I'm not debating that. But that does not mean that you're gonna thrive.
Right.
And that is why a lot of leaders say, hey, we are doing AI, but where is that magic? The magic is not happening because one of the fundamental mistakes, like I have showed in this slide, is you have not chosen the right use. So, coming to your questions, how should teams approach? So, here is the thing, Brent. Strategy is always determined by the people at the top.
Yep.
The people at the bottom are the execution, which means in this case, too, what use cases to go after is a fundamental job of the leadership, not of the executives.
Right. Right.
Because the leaders at the top have a better understanding of business, the external environment, where they want to take the company in next 1, 3, 5 years, the vision.
Yep.
It's not the engineering. Now, it is to arm with this knowledge, you have to think from first principles. Where are the use cases?
Right.
You don't just have to think, not just the sense of what are the pain points, either of you or your customer. You have to think where can we get the 10x value from.
Yes.
So it is why was Steve Jobs amazing? Not because he built Apple. We all know a lot of people built Apple. His conviction of what the product should look like, not how to be done. How is the engineering part? But he was amazing at that. So this is where teams have to sit. They have to think. It's not a one-time activity. You cannot outsource to a consultant saying that, oh, give me the list of use cases, which is what I'm seeing across the industry now.
Yeah.
You have to sit. You have to brainstorm. You have to think. There are 110 different frameworks of how you can go about thinking on it. But this is what is a first principles thing. I can give you another very interesting example, friend.
Yeah.
To
Please.
drive home some of these points. So think of the largest logistics company in the world. At any point of time, they'll have hundreds of ships, airplanes, trains,
Trucks.
vans, trucks moving all across the world, ensuring that a parcel can go from place A to place B.
Yep.
Right? Now, one of the things they always want to do is deliver the parcel in the stipulated time, the SLA that they have set.
Yep.
Where does SLA gets beaten? Because somewhere the supply chain, the whole chain that works breaks.
Yep.
Right? One of the reasons chains can break is because something happened in the physical world, like there was an earthquake in a particular city, because of which an airport or a port was shut.
Right.
Or there was a tsunami or a high tide, or some issue because of which certain flights cannot take off. Stuff like this. Imagine there was a fire at some railway station. Now, they can't avoid this. They would love to, but they can't avoid. So, what is the next best they can do? The sooner they come to know, the sooner they will start to reroute the stuff.
Right.
So, this was an amazing observation that was done by one of the individuals in the organization, that when a natural calamity happens, because of which a port or an airport or a railway station or something,
Right.
or a highway gets affected, the first news comes on Twitter or X as we know it now.
Right.
And the example this person had cited, because I had read about this whole story, was that when United States had invaded Pakistan to kill Osama bin Laden, there was a boy in that city who saw these choppers coming in. And the first information broke on Twitter back then. So here is the world now. You want to find if some port, some airport, some highway has some problem.
Right.
And you know, if that's the case, then there is some tweet, at least one tweet on the internet Of course, as the time will go, more and more people will report it, right? So the
Right.
number of tweets, it will start to become a trending topic.
Yeah.
But by that time, it's too late. Can I quickly find as soon as that first tweet comes, right?
Normally I'd say no, but now yes. AI gives you the capability of that.
So this problem is called finding a needle in the haystack.
Right.
For most companies, it is of no use.
Right.
But maybe for media, maybe, I don't know. But definitely for the logistics. So this company went on to build an AI system whose whole job was there are a bunch of physical assets in the world that we love to monitor. And if there is any news about these physical assets, then flag it to us as soon as possible. Now, you would not have heard this use case anyway,
Right.
but think how important this is for a DHL or all those
FedEx
logistics
or UPS.
companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. They would be happy to pay money to anybody who can even phone in and report, hey, a particular highway has gone down.
Yes.
For whatever reason. This is another example of first principles. I will give you
Interesting.
maybe another example from a very diverse world because I was part of this particular project, so I've seen very close.
Yep.
We have a lot of CRMs, customer relationship management systems.
Yep. Yep. Way
And
too
they're
many, but
used
yes.
extensively in customer support to manage customers.
Yep.
Now, one of the features most customer support tools have is every conversation is flagged as negative, positive, or neutral.
Right.
Now, the question that we asked is what will a company do with this information? Most people reach out to brands only when they are in trouble or there is
Right.
something not working, right? Of course, once in a while, people do reach out to appreciate, to kind of give them feedback and stuff like that. But 2 to 3% maybe of overall customer support traffic is neutral or positive because it's a praise or a feedback. 97% is anyways something is not working, my cashback hasn't come, my
Yep.
refund hasn't come, my parcel wasn't delivered, it was broken, blah blah blah, all those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So what will a company do by looking whether this is negative, positive, or neutral? 97% is anyways gonna be negative.
Yep.
Okay. So we said we are not gonna build that in our CRM. We were building a CRM system for social media marketing.
Okay.
So anybody could talk to the brands by directly tweeting or by writing on Facebook. And then this will get converted into a ticket, and the team will sit, the customer support team of the client. So think of just say Amazon.com for simplicity would be on this tool and reply from there and handle the issue. What we said is, hey, but if you think carefully, a lot of times Amazon gets tagged even though it's not a customer support ticket,
Yeah.
right? Like Amazon fired X number of employees, people are absolutely not happy about it, people are bashing them. It's all negative. But what can a customer support team do about it? Nothing.
Right.
They can't do anything about it. Or Amazon has shut down offices in some country, or Amazon have taken out jobs of one from one country given to another country. All of that,
Yeah.
customer support team cannot do anything about
Right.
it. Right? Somebody has randomly tagged Jeff Bezos, AWS, all of that stuff. So we said, hey, just because somebody is talking about a brand, it is not a customer support. So we looked at the traffic very carefully, and we said because it is social, a lot of noise is there. And a customer agent has to go through a lot of tickets. So we actually manually evaluated all of this stuff. Where an agent had to go through a lot of ticket to find that ticket that he or she should respond. Somebody is saying something to Jeff Bezos, what can I do?
Right.
So this is not relevant, not relevant, not relevant, or relevant. Let me respond. Not relevant, not. So we found that these agents are spending significant amount of time in finding what they should respond to.
Right. Weeding out. Right. Weeding through the minutia for the
Correct.
needle. Yeah.
And why is this the case? Because this is social media.
Yeah.
The noise is very high.
Yeah.
So we call this feature as noise cancellation.
Yeah.
And at that point of time, this is back in 2013 to 2016, I'm talking about. We were the only CRM that had this feature. And because of this feature, our customers used to absolutely love us because the value prop was very clear. There's a large volume that is coming your way. This will filter out all the noise, will take the relevant stuff, convert it into tickets. You, as an agent, just focus on replying to it in the most human way, in solving the people's issues. You should not be spending time in finding out what to respond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think about there's that use case can go that noise cancellation. There's tons of things it's with the way DMs and comments and social media. And I'm thinking about when you get outbound platforms, right, that do outreach, the negative response. No one wants to see those, right? It's noise cancellation. So that's a really good use case. So how do companies go about identifying these use cases, Anuj? Because I think that's a big, if I'm sitting here, I'm just, trying to put my leadership hat on and I'd be saying, okay, how do I pull a team together? How do I identify these and at least get a good working list and figure out how to move forward?
So there are no simple, straightforward answers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
One, it's not a one-time activity.
Absolutely not. Right.
So you have to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Right. So two, it has to start by the leadership team at the top.
Yeah.
First, they have to sit, put their brains together, how a strategic debate typically happens in a sales setting.
Yeah.
So here it's about trying to understand only two aspects: what to solve and what kind of an impact it might have. It is not about how to solve. That's a much later question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? From a use case point of view, you only have to identify two aspects: what to solve and what kind of a impact it might have.
Yeah. Almost an impact assessment. Right.
Yes.
And I feel like you could categorize, if you had a list of all your use cases, it would be, is this a thrive or a survive? Right. And then as simple as the next thing is, what's the impact? Right. To me, that would be a good framework. I can see that coming to fruition.
Only thing is, this is first principle thinking. So you have to relook at your entire vertical. So if you are head of sales, if you are head of strategy, if you are head of people, first look into your vertical. But that's again optimization.
Yes.
The bigger question to ask is, okay, we're out of these teams. Think of the company. Okay. Now there are ways to kind of trigger this. Another way is the adversarial argument. Think of the three smartest kids on earth who have raised, say, 20 mil or 30 mil as funding and are about to enter the same business as yours. What is that they will build?
Absolutely. That's the red team, the blue team kind of thing. Yes.
Yes. So there are different frameworks by which first principle thinking, but there is no ready-made answers. You can't talk to GPT and get this. You can try. I'm not debating it.
Well, it might give you some ideas, but that's not how. I totally get it.
But so another example of this is that I think there was a recent article around Johnson and Johnson. Right? What should Johnson and Johnson apply AI for? To solve customer support chatbots or to build new drugs? It's obviously build new drugs. That is where the magic.
Absolutely, lies. It's a no brainer,
right? It's no brainer, and there exists a technology which can now come up with new kind of compounds and stuff like that. Right? So this is where you have to do. This is an exercise that we do extensively with CXO teams, where we sit with them as the AI champion and guide the entire team together. Make them go through these sessions again and again and again, right?
Yeah.
And you might keep on coming up with use cases.
Yeah.
And every quarter you might reprioritize, saying that this was great, but maybe now we should look at something like this.
Right.
But nobody else will do it for you. Because you understand your business. You understand that vertical. You understand that pain points, and most importantly, you understand your users.
Yeah.
So in large companies, there is also what is called as AI product managers. And the smartest ones that I have had a chance to meet and interact, they're amazingly good at this one art. What use cases to go after?
Yes. I feel like this is a really spot on topic. So who, I mean, obviously leadership should own this, but, and obviously they have to build some sort of committee, but I love the idea of the AI product officer, right? That maybe is the person that pulls all this together and pulls leadership in to think through this. But Anuj, tell me how, like, you've done this with a number of firms already. How does your team come in and facilitate this or drive this to get the outcomes? Because you're right, there's no perfect science to this, and this is an ever evolving process. So how does your team do it?
So we always start with again the leadership, because
Yeah.
the reason for that is, even if they are unable to continue doing this exercise themselves,
Yeah.
they understand the importance, and then they ensure that there are enough people within the organization that continue to do this. So first, it is very important to sensitize them.
Yep.
Second, we have to sensitize the CEOs, because a lot of CEOs, the moment they hear the word AI, they said, "Hey, my CIO or my CTO is doing."
Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah, that's just flat out wrong.
Yes, because CTOs are not good at finding use cases. CIOs are not
No,
good at finding.
they built deterministic software. That's
Yes.
what they're right.
Yes, and that's another problem. So ideally, the best person who understands user base, so CPO, the Chief Product Officer,
Yeah, yep.
the person who understands your business and sales and strategy very well. Now, this could be multiple people or this could be CEO, right? Depending on the organization size. But as an OKR, one of the best practices that we have seen, this needs to be owned by the CEO himself.
Yeah.
He might delegate it to someone who might do it after some time, but the ownership has to rest with the CEO. After all, this is the future of your company. So when you don't outsource the strategy discussions, why are you outsourcing this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this is a fundamental shift in thinking, because I have talked to a number of founders and CEOs that believe, yeah, oh, yeah, well, let me talk to my CTO or CIO or head of tech. And I'm like, no, that's the wrong answer, right? This is a fundamental shift in the way in which business will change.
So if you look at great AI startups also that are coming up, the fundamental idea comes from a deep insight which is buried somewhere. Hey, I want to solve this problem. They are not saying I'm going to build a customer support chatbot company. So this is where we sit with the, so as next step we sit with the CXO team. We make them understand some of the points that we have discussed now, and then we work with them. Okay, this is the right use case you're thinking. Oh, right. Somebody can come up with a use case like, hey, build something that can look at my thoughts and convert into some idea or something like that. But today, that kind of a technology is not possible. Right. So you also need some sense of what is possible today and what is not possible. Otherwise, this can go into a wish list kind of a thing.
Yes, and that's kind of what I was going to say is how do we help them get this into an actionable plan versus a wish list, because the wish list is never going to move the needle, right? And that to me is a big I don't solve. So what would you say would be next steps, right? For someone watching this and they said, hey, I love what you guys are talking about, want to implement this, if I need help, obviously, that's something that, we can't help everybody, but we'd love to help the right people. But I really think, Anuj, for someone watching this, is they're going to say, all right, how do I go about doing this?
So, see, this is where we work with organizations to help them get this one piece right first.
I feel like this is the first domino that actually allows them to move the needle.
Yeah. So we are, sorry for this, we are reachable. You can reach out to us. But this is the most important part, because if you're solving the wrong problem, right, you might build the greatest AI algorithms.
Right.
It's not going to move the needle because you're solving the wrong problem. And this is a fact anybody can go and verify for themselves. Look at the number of AI startups that have shut down. You'll find a stark reality.
Yes.
You'll find a very small number of companies. There are problems, right? And maybe we can have a separate discussion on that if needed. This is where you need somebody as part of this thinking process who knows enough about AI in terms of what is possible, what is not possible.
Right.
But when working with leadership teams, you also need somebody who has enough authority and stature to be able to guide them.
I agree.
And
I agree.
this is the first part of building a robust AI strategy, building a robust AI roadmap.
Yep. Yep. I totally agree with this. And Anuj and I are going to be doing a series of virtual events for our audience and for founders and CEOs and basically the whole C-suite, board members. Everybody needs to be at the highest level, maybe thinking about this and how to do this the right way. Because if you think of go back to the Spotify example, that is one of many that we can call out about how getting the right use case can fundamentally change your business and move the needle. And this is the difference between the thrive versus survive use cases.
Which is why, just as a closing remark, coming to these two statements, right? So this is exactly what Satya is saying over here. Right? It is
Yes.
the core currency of any business will be its ability to harness AI and reimagine how it operates. The light of
Reimagine is the key there. And
yes.
Yeah. And that is where most companies that don't think that way are going to get squashed because they're going to say, where did this competitor I never heard of come out of nowhere, right? The red team, blue team.
So you cannot use AI as a varnish to just make you look better and beautiful.
You're right.
It has to come through, you have to reimagine the very DNA.
Yes.
And that can only be done by the leadership. Right? This is exactly what Mark is saying. Right? There are going to be two kind of companies in the world: those that are great at AI and everybody else. And if you're not good at AI, you're going to fail. Period. End of story. And the most important thing, what he put in, if you are the CEO, you can't just leave it to the tech guy. It is not.
I was going to say that is the biggest key right there.
Yes, it is not a technology. It's much bigger, which is why we have put these two. And if you look very carefully, Brent, if you look at how Satya has been operating for last 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Satya is no more running the business of Microsoft. I think he has largely left it over. He has championed this AI.
Yes.
And he knows that one of the critical aspects of that, and we should have a separate discussion, is talent.
Absolutely.
So think of any top AI leader. If this leader is available, Satya is talking to this person over the weekend.
Yeah.
We saw when things didn't go well at OpenAI, how Sam Altman episode happened.
Mm-hmm.
We saw how he brought in Mustafa from DeepMind.
Yes.
Into Microsoft, though he was already had partnered with Reed and was creating another company. So he's very clear. I am going after the top most talent of AI. And I personally, this is my okay. I have not given it to my head of HR.
Yes, right.
That's the ownership a CEO will have to take.
It's going to fundamentally change the way CEOs think and operate for sure. And I think it's a very healthy change because the CEO, there's all kinds of different CEOs out there, right? The ones that have to do the road shows and play the PR, and the ones that are driving the 6-month and 12-month and 3 and 5-year vision. All of that comes into play. But I think that how you think about and build use cases around AI is the most important thing that you can be thinking and doing in 2025.
So it's a starting foundational block. If you get that wrong, then you can build, like we discussed, the most technically sound system, but you're solving the wrong problem.
Totally agreed. Well, Anuj, thank you for this. Thank you for this first of many that we're going to do. I think the next upcoming one, we're going to do the AI, the CXO AI playbook, and we're going to go through the 4 pillars. And I think that we'll do that coming up very soon in the next week or so. But we are going to be getting this out and to as many people to watch and react to. And if you want to jump on a call with us, just get in touch, and we'll put all the links below. But we'd love to have a conversation. This is we want to help as many companies move to the thrive versus survive as we can. So thank you, Anuj. And until our next episode, that is it for the Future Proof team.
Thank you so much, Brent. Thank you for having me. It was a great
Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.